Welcome to Hot Comeback. I'm so glad you're back with me. This is where 50 is your finish line. It is your starting point, the starting point of everything you want your life to be, the person that you are meant to be. I'm your host, Michelle Thompson, and we are proving that your best chapter may just be the one you haven't written yet. We'll continue each episode featuring honest conversation with women who have stopped going at it alone and have found their way to fulfillment, joy, and purpose in their second act. You'll hear about their struggles, their breakthroughs, and the practical steps that they took to create lives that they actually love. This podcast will show you how other women have made their comeback and how you can too. Welcome back. Good day, everyone. Welcome to Her Comeback. I am your host, Michelle Thompson.
Yeah, so I am a two-time entrepreneur. This is my third business, but I started my third business post 50. I know we'll talk about it today. It's a completely different business. I know it's a mission-based business, which I've never done. I've only done, to be quite honest, like capitalistic ventures. And I'm probably as uncomfortable as a bunch of you all are in your businesses or as you think about your businesses. Even though I've done it, I know the formula. I know a formula for another business, not this one.
Great. Well, let's talk a little bit about your journey. You've said you always knew that you wanted to be an entrepreneur your whole life. So what was the moment or experience that first ignited that spark when you knew?
I think I have a little different upbringing in the sense that I'm surrounded by a family of entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So my dad, my grandfather, even my brothers, my cousins, I mean, everyone's sort of, because we're immigrants, right? We're super ethnic off the boat. Uh, I think that was what you did in the old country. That's what everyone did here. So that was how I was brought up. And what's always interesting to me, and I will hand it to my lovely but crotchety dad, that he never, I mean, super Italian, super traditional. He never treated me any different as it related to being an entrepreneur than my brothers. Like, he figured I'd do it just like they would
Yeah.
do it. I think that was a huge gift. Now, my business partner was also brought up exactly the same way, just I'm Italian, she's Greek, same thing. Hers is funny because if you ask her, she would say she was going to be a stay-at-home mom. She went to school, she got a job for a couple years, she was done. She had no interest in it. And so I always ask her, well, what made you decide it? And she said she had such a passion for the business that we were doing, and she did not think other people did it. So hers just came from, wait a second, I love this work and I want to do it exactly the way I want to do it. Thus why
Very
I'm
interesting.
57 and just started another mission-based business and something I've never done before.
Well, so let's just go ahead and segue into that. Tell us about the business that you've started now.
So when we sold the second business, we retired. Victoria's kids are much younger. I'm an empty nester with amazing kids. And I lasted like, I don't know, like a day and a half before I thought, oh my God, what do I do? So a friend of mine was like, hey, write for my blog, tell some stories. And so as I did it, I decided I really wanted to write a book. Then I called Victoria. I sucked her in so hard. She's like, I'm retired. I'm like, this is going to be so much fun. I mean, women's like their eyes went open. They're like, I could never do that. Yeah, you could. I think we minimize ourselves sometimes as women. We think, oh, that's for someone else.
Right. Yeah. I totally get that. So what is your approach when you're talking about that confidence and convincing that woman that, yeah, you can do this, getting them to see and build that confidence themselves? Is there some type of skill that you have that?
It's a good, okay. So I think, and you know this better than anyone, I think so much of this is mindset. So I have like 3 cheats with people and with myself. I still do this every day with myself. One is I physically write down, because that's the way I do it, right? I physically write down a victory. It might have been yesterday's victory because I did a hike I didn't think I could do. It might have been a victory 5 years ago where I read a headline in a newspaper at a company that I had counseled their CEO, and I remind myself, whatever it is, I'm reminding myself of one thing that I didn't think I could do that I did. Small, big, 10 years ago, 5 minutes ago, whatever it is. And that really helps me personally get in the mindset of, okay, there was a time I didn't think I could do that thing. I did it. That's just what I'm going through right now. I'm just feeling like I can't do that thing, but I've been here. I've scaled this mountain before. So that's one big one. The second is, and this took me literally till my 50s, we have the big goal in front of us, and it ultimately freaks us out. Like, I think for a lot of women who have $50,000 businesses, when I say you can hit 7 figures, that goal is so big for them that they're intimidated and they give up. And that is very understandable. So I don't focus that much on 7 figures. I focus that much on what's the one thing that I can do today that will move the needle. From my daughters, I get the call of, I've got this opportunity, but I don't know if I can do it. And I always tell them, you're going to channel your inner Sammy Lee Saunders, which is my oldest son's name, because there is never a room Sammy Lee does not think he should be in. And he's not egotistical. He calls his mother, he's a beautiful soul. But he was interviewing for this job at Goldman Sachs. And I was like, honey, like, never going to happen. You went to a B+ school, you got a B+ average, like, never going to happen. It's great to aim high, but what's your, plan B, plan C? He ignored me completely. He went in, he got the job. And so in our family, we're always like, oh, did you channel your inner Sammy Lee? When
Yeah.
you're like, okay, maybe in the back of my head, I think I can't do this. But in the, like, I am Sammy Lee and I'm walking into a room and they are very lucky to have me. So
Yeah.
you have to figure out which one of those you relate to best. I'm lucky I relate to all three of them. I, as a 57-year-old, channel my 25-year-old Sammy Lee.
Yeah. That seems so common across the board, just with other men in general, that they can carry with them
Yeah.
some confidence. Like they totally believe they belong in every room they're
Yeah.
in. But as women, we hold ourselves back so much. We question and we doubt. Yeah.
I mean,
It's
Michelle, when this was, we were midway of selling the second business. We had sold the first one, we had made money. We had scaled the second one to a point where we had a bunch of suitors. I still would wake up in the morning and think, I can't believe we have a call with a potential buyer. I bet they don't know our business, or I bet they don't know us. Like, they're going to get off the phone quickly. Like, I would have to talk myself out of that. And at that point, we were selling an 8-figure business, and I still was like, I don't,
Yeah.
Victoria and I, when we got the final offer for the second business, I'll never forget, because I was in Europe and it was like the middle of the night and I called her and we both were like, maybe they made a mistake. Which is so crazy, because every guy who would get that would be like, they should have offered more. And we were like,
Okay. Yeah. I left some money on the table. I should have gotten more.
exactly. That is exactly. We were like, maybe they messed up a decimal. In the book, we go into a lot of research on this. And the only thing that we've pulled out from some great studies and some super smart people is that it happens to us very early. There was a study that was done where men and women are deciding if they can take an advanced math class. And the women with A's from prior classes have a lower level of confidence than the men with C's. And this is like 7th grade. And so we look, and I mean, it's so young that no wonder we're our ages and we're still having it, because it's so hard coded in there.
It's fascinating. It really is. And sad.
Yeah.
You mentioned about the 7-figure ceiling and how that's the aim there, and talking to women about how to crack that. What are some common mental or strategic blocks that keep women stuck below it? I know we were just talking about that, but are there some other things?
Yeah, I think there's a couple that are more strategic. One is that I think women more than men tend to pursue a business that they're super passionate about. And we have to take a financial lens to that. We have to say, is that a potential 7-figure business? So there's a section, we have newsletters called Founders Files. This is all free information on our website. And it's in the book as well. But we have a set of prompts and a set of analyses to say, is my chosen business, is it capable of being a 7-figure business? Is the overall market size large enough, and is it growing? So you're not just pursuing a passion, but you're pursuing a passion where you could end up in this business. So start there.
I see. I
And then I
see.
think the second biggest stumbling block women have is, man, they want to be solopreneurs. Someone has convinced them that they can hit 7 figures and get financial freedom being a solopreneur. And I'll tell you, I don't know how you would do that. I'm sure there are some unique businesses that you could. So a big part of some of the work we do is to say, okay, well, you're pretty good at sales as a solopreneur. And right now you spend 5% of your time on that. What if you spent 30% of your time? What would sales look like? Okay, now what would you need to support that sales? How would we hire? What other tools would we use? I think that's the second really big stumbling block. And I think part of that, Michelle, comes from we're nurturers, right? We
Mhm.
care so much about the people we let into our life. So helping women understand that a hiring decision is a 2 or 3 month decision. If it works out great, you two can be together forever. And if it doesn't, you've made a 2 or 3 month investment and that is it. And your job is to treat them respectfully and to help them as much as you can. But if it is not a fit or it is not what your business needs, you sever the relationship, you help them as much as you can, and you move on. That's a little bit of another obstacle. Women are like, they're acting like they're adopting a child. I'm like, no,
Yes.
and they could quit 2 months from now too. So
Right. I can see that. I can see how that would play out as well. So, what would you say the difference between a business that scales and one that stays small? What's the main difference
yeah,
there?
I think there's two.
Okay.
One is the business that scales is in a market that can support a scaled business.
Okay.
So there's demand for it and there aren't too many competitors that you could get your seat like. So that's the first thing. If you've made that mistake when you kick off your business is likely never going to get there. So that's just something you have to fix. And then I think the second is, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I am not a financial person. I promise you, the women that I see succeed, they have built a profit and loss statement and a projection statement.
Mhm.
And I work with tons of women on this, right? Where I say, okay, it is March 18th and your goal for revenue April 1st that you set way back when a couple months ago. How's that looking? What could you do? How could you cure it? Now let's look at May and see if we're ready to. So part of it is just that your eye is on the right ball.
Mhm.
So we have to have revenue. And the women who have a profit and loss, they have a revenue projection sheet and they're focused on top line, they will scale.
Yeah.
They may
Okay.
not scale the way they set the strategic program on January 1st, but they will scale because in their head, they're looking at a number, they're knowing they have to hit it. And every single day they're looking at it thinking, oh, I'm getting closer. Let me do that one thing that worked last week. I'm going to try it again this week. If not, the other women without it, they go super myopic on the product or the client that they're serving right at that second. And they deliver that perfectly, but it doesn't deliver revenue. It's not.
Uh, very, very interesting.
And
Very
by the way,
interesting.
that P&L on those projections, you used to have to buy Excel and know it, blah, blah, blah. You go into Cloud AI, you put in a few of your numbers, out comes the spreadsheet. I did a
It's
cash flow because I
amazing.
didn't believe it because my niece was helping me with something. And she's like, no, you can do the whole thing. I'm like, I don't think you could do the whole thing. I did it all this week.
Yeah.
The whole
Oh,
process took me 15 minutes. And I am a
isn't that
dinosaur, people.
incredible?
So
Yeah.
imagine what you all can do.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible. Yeah, the things that we can get from AI in terms of plugging in things and what it can give us back, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, talking about anytime you start a business and getting through the early stages of that is always hard. So, what do you say to those people that maybe have started a business in the middle of it right now? How do you know when it's time to pivot? Oh, maybe this just isn't going to work, or just keep pushing through, just keep showing up. How do you know the difference?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I think the way I would look at it is If you've done the beginning part right, you've got your total addressable market, it's big enough, and your business should be able to scale. So you gotta have gotten that part right. But if you're in that messy middle where you're like, no one's gonna hire me, no one likes my product, I'm getting rejected daily. Yeah, two things. And I have lived in that space for so many years. My number one is you're not wrong, you're just pivoting.
Hmm.
So you're gonna figure out if the place you're at falls in one of three categories. One, you're doing all the right things and you have to shut up and wait because it's a timing game. And sometimes that's the case. The second is you're doing mostly the right things and you really just need a micro pivot around product, service, the way you sell. In our own business right now, we micro pivoted about 6 months ago because we found that we were much better with a woman who had 50,000 revenues that wanted to break the seven-figure ceiling versus someone who had a great idea but wasn't ready to start. Our patience level and accordingly our consulting was terrible for someone with an idea. We're like, yeah, just, so that was not the right answer. But if you're in the like beginning sort of messiness, then you love us, right? Because we're like, do this, do this, do this. So that was our micro pivot. And then I think there always is a macro pivot. And in the book, I talk about this because the second business that we had this great, cool new consulting product. And seriously, it was in my own head and I loved it and I thought it was brilliant. It turns out it was brilliant, but the people we were selling to didn't have the budget or the interest. And after a year of selling it, I mean, literally, we did not have a dollar of revenues. The only reason we were still in business is because our core initial service offering, people were buying. So we had a little bit of cash. I was knocking my head against the wall. I remember calling Victoria and being like, I fold. I've done everything I can. And she was like, what? No, you're not. Absolutely not. And so I was like, okay, I guess not. Well, a few weeks into that, we were pitching once again to someone who wasn't going to buy it. And this guy looks at me and goes, you're selling to the wrong person. I'm the finance guy. Go sell to the legal counsel. He has a budget for what you're doing. Here, I'll call Merle. Calls the legal counsel in on the phone. And the guy's like, yeah, when can we meet? And that broke the whole thing. But had I not, first of all, listened to Victoria and kept going, but I mean, that was a massive pivot. Same product, everything about it, delivery, marketing, thought leadership, everything had to be pivoted in a short amount of time. So like, don't give up. If you've done the work that you have an addressable market and it's growing and you've gotten some feedback on that sort of what we call that minimum viable product, that first thing, you've gotten some feedback that's pretty good. Your job is to figure out, do I just stay the course and do what I'm doing? Can I make a little tweak and change everything? Or do I have to make a bigger tweak? But I'm not giving up. To me, the only time you give up is because you haven't authenticated the size of the market. And I think that's it. Even if you're running out of money, you always find ways to get more money.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Very insightful. So women start half the world's businesses, yet face massive funding disparities. What do you think has to change and what can women do right now while the system catches up?
Yeah, I think the system's gonna catch up, right? By 2050 in the United States, women will control more wealth than men for the first time ever. It's very like demographic, birth rates, aging out, et cetera. That's why, but that's happening. So JP Morgan came out with that 6 months ago. And I just want us all to remember that when in 2050, we control the wealth, we're going to control the financing, but we've got 24 years in the middle. So I think there's two things. One is everything we've talked about this conversation, channeling our inner Sammy Lee, we're not going to raise a bit of money unless we go in with some swagger. So I think we've got to change the way we would be comfortable pitching, which oftentimes is like we're being super authentic, to having just a little bit of swagger and being willing to dream openly a little bit. But the second is there are so many small incubators in every state I've been in run by women. And you're not going to go raise, your first round's not going to be 500,000. But if it was 50,000 and it got you to proof of concept, you would be much more successful than raising the 500,000 range. Maybe the average AI guy doesn't have to go the incubator route. They can go right to angel. Okay. But that's not your story. Your story is you're going to go in your town, your city, there's virtual incubators run by women, groups of women, and you're just going to get involved in the same way you would with a mastermind. And you will find small tranches of money available and some really smart guidance from people about what you'd have to raise the next tranche of funding. That number is growing. It's making me feel more positive. And then every year when we only get 2% of venture funding comes out, then I get mad again. So I feel that for everybody.
What advice would you give to someone who has a big business idea but doesn't feel like she has the time or maybe in midlife the permission to pursue it? What would you tell a woman in that situation?
Yeah, no, that's a lot of women that I talk to at this point. There's a couple things. And actually on our website, there's a super inexpensive course. It's under $50. And it's meant just for that. It's called Entrepreneur Like a Mother. And it starts with what I think is one of the most important things, which is find your freedom number. And we'd started that because so many women are like, oh, I just need to save money. Oh, I need this. I need this. I need this. We put together, and it's interactive. It's super easy to do. Anyone can do it. What you'd have to have in order to start the business that you want. Because what I think we found in mentoring women is that if we can get them over the hurdle that financially their family won't be in a worse position for a period of time if they do this, that a lot of times opens the floodgates to say, okay, I could really do this. So the first is just like, get your financial mind straight. Then the second is get your business idea straight and build your own little kitchen cabinet to test your business strategies out. And sometimes it's people you don't know. Sometimes it's people you do know. But if you can spend 15 minutes with someone who's funded businesses before or scaled businesses before, you get your business model idea down to a 5-minute spiel, and then listen to feedback for the other 10 minutes. Do that 5 or 6 or 7 times. You'll have validation for your business, or it'll be very clear the tweaks that you might have to make before you start. So if you've done those two things, you've got okay, I've got a 6-month runway where I could invest this amount of money and I could start my business. Okay. And then I've pitched my idea to some pretty smart people and I feel pretty confident from their reaction what I could do. I mean, those are like the two places we get. And then when women get there, we work with them a little bit to say, okay, so what are the 5 things you'd have to do this month to get to the next step? We start doing that one hard thing a day with them to get them launched. But you got to get your money right. You got to get your money brain right. And then you just got to go outside to somebody who's been through it, who either tweaks your idea or validates it. And let me tell you one thing about women, which you probably know is when you go on LinkedIn, there are a lot of people who are able to do the work that I just did. And you cannot believe how generous people are with their time. I have been blown away with the number of people that have helped me. It is almost never that someone DMs me on LinkedIn that I don't say, yeah, let's get on the phone. So, I think I am not in the minority. There are women who want to help women. So if someone's like, I have a business idea, I want to test one thing on you because I know you have experience in professional services, I take their calendar invite in a second. I always feel like for every 5 outreaches, 1 person responds, get out there and outreach. Then you've got the 2 things. You feel confident financially, you feel confident in your business idea. Oh, you can do it then. You feel a lot different.
Yeah, very good. I love that. You've mentioned your book. Tell us more about the book that's coming out that you're going to release.
It's been really a labor of love and so much fun to co-write it. I recommend everyone co-write a book with their best friend. We've had nothing but fun. The publishing process is from hell, but the actual writing was really fun. So the goal of the book was, we are voracious readers. I will literally read the back of a cereal box. Like I always want to read everything. And I got really frustrated that the business books that I was reading didn't reflect my journey. I mean, my journey was, I'm super ambitious. I wanted to make a lot of money, but I have 4 kids. Victoria had 5 kids. And there seemed to be a lot of messaging that you just had to go down a deep entrepreneurial hole for a decade. And if you did that, you were going to be wildly successful. And we thought, okay, we went down holes, but I saw my kid play in most of his hockey tournaments. She made pickup 3 times a week. Like, we told our clients, we would love to talk to you at 4 o'clock, but my son is in the Christmas pageant, so I can't talk to you till 5:15. And Michelle, we were telling that to Fortune 1000 public company CEOs. And 9 times out of 10, they were like, oh, awesome. Call me at 5:30. And so we weren't reading those stories, and we were like, wait, we've now done this 20 years. That's not our story. That's not the only people that can be successful. And this idea that there was one model to be successful in building a business, we just didn't relate to. So of course we're like, we'll tell the world, with no bearing whatsoever. We never wrote a book. We don't know anything. We were like, oh, we'll tell the world. So the whole point of the book is helping women, particularly moms and caregivers who are ambitious, figure out a model and a process that works for them to make a bunch of money in a field they want to, which is super different than the Sam Altman go build it, open AI in your parents' basement eating ramen. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't have that choice. So the whole point was pick this up and you're going to see something of yourself in there. And
Oh,
maybe you'll also see the humanity because we're super honest about the ridiculous mistakes we made. I mean, there's a section in there, there's a little story in there about how my kids' kindergarten room moms, they thought I was so incompetent that when they assigned me Chex Mix, they had people come over and make sure that I had the right recipe. I'm like, there's 3 things in Chex Mix. I think I can do this. No. I was sanctioned because they thought you're a working mom, you're going to get Chex Mix wrong. And I mean, there's so many stories in there where really, or just forgetting kids or doing whatever. And so part of it is just to be really human for women because we're moms, we're aspiring moms, or we're caregivers, right?
Mhm.
And so we do beautiful things with them and we also mess up terribly. And so we just thought, well, let's put it all out there so someone could read this and think, okay, Eve, I would not be as dumb as they were. So I bet you I could do this. The book has been super fun. It's coming out in September. It is both, I think, heartwarming and true because it's authentic, but it's also super badass. If you want to do this, it gives you step by step by step by step how to do it. Everyone calls that a system. I don't know what I call it, but that's the point of the book.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. What's the name?
Entrepreneur like a mother.
Oh, love it. I love it. I was looking on your website, and are there things that are on your website now that are in the book as well? Or is this completely kind of new material in the book?
Yeah, I think there is the Founders File newsletter, which is totally free. You should subscribe. It's really great. It's got such good content. Is a little bit more directed on the how-to. The book is the same concept, mental mindset, 5 power moves, but it's a lot more information. And then it's got our actual stories, some business, some personal interspersed in there. So hopefully it's a much more fun read, but also has, which I love, it's got questions at the end of each chapter, but then the last chapter are worksheets because I'm a super worksheet person. So the publisher let us do all of our worksheets and it's broken up between your going from idea to your first sale. And then the other is that sweet middle that I love that we're 50,000 and we want to break 7 figures. And then the last section is, okay, we're close to 7 figures. Now we got to figure out, do we want a lifestyle business or do we want to really scale this thing? So
Yeah.
hopefully there's something in it for wherever women are at this stage in their journey.
Sounds wonderful. Well, I personally look forward to reading it when it comes out. So thank you for sharing about that. Is there, before we close, anything else that you'd like to share with our audience? Something that you haven't said to this point?
Yeah, I think that we do better as women interacting with others, iterating, validating, cheerleading. So Victoria and I unwittingly, but now we do it in a very planned way, we have really created a kitchen cabinet around us of other women and actually men, because we have both have sets of brothers who are amazing. And we have a set of people that when we run into an obstacle, we know who to call. Sometimes it's a cheerleader. So our best friends where I'm like, why am I writing a book? And them saying, who, but you should, even though that's not valid, but they said it. Cheerleader. And then we call compensators. which are smart people in areas that we don't know anything about. So for me, I went in such a deep dive on social media for the last 12 months after like not even ever downloading Instagram. But that's such a critical part of the book sale process. So that's a compensator. And then the third are connectors. You know who these people are in your life. Like, oh, Michelle, you want to do that? Great. So I've got this person you should talk to. And so if you could spend 30 minutes on that a week, and that's it, figuring out, gosh, I really need a compensator who can help me figure out, product delivery in Sri Lanka, whoever it is. You're building that. You're asking for favors on LinkedIn. You're saying, could you talk to me for 10 minutes? I have a question. Then you're building that relationship. When you're doing it, sometimes it feels awkward and you're not exactly sure where it's all going to fit in. As you do that 30 minutes a week for a year, you just wait to see at the end of the year when you feel like you've got a business problem. You then look at your network and you're like, I have 3 people I can call to help me solve it. So I know we're super busy and we hate networking because it's so inauthentic and we don't like asking for favors. But that's one area. If you either are or you want to be an entrepreneur, build those 3 categories and build that kitchen cabinet. So when you run into the thing you're not sure you can overcome, you're not like sitting Googling or going on Chat GPT, how do I solve my business problem? You have a couple people you can call and say, can I get 15 minutes? And in return, you're going to pay that forward as much as you can. You're going to give everybody who asks you 15 minutes. That is my mantra. I will give everybody who asks me 15 minutes if they're a woman and an entrepreneur, including if they're trying to sell me something. And that turned out to be the person who connected us with our largest client in our first business was a kitchen cabinet member. And the person who talked us out of taking a deal, which a year later we got a much bigger deal. Both those were kitchen cabinet members, women I outreached to from LinkedIn and said, you don't know me, but you know this person and I know this person. I really need 15 minutes. Could you give it to me? And they said yes. And so now they're still in my network. So that is my best advice.
Wonderful.
Please
Great
do it.
idea. Yeah. And I love that being open and it's that whole concept of being willing to give and then you get back, you receive so much more in return, when you give,
blindly give.
The
world gives it back to you. And some people take advantage of you and whatever, but you sort of blindly give. And I really, really believe it comes back to you.
Yeah. Wonderful. Look, it's been such a joy talking to you, Beth. Thank you so much for the connection and sharing with me and the audience about the work that you do. And I wish you all the best continued success in this new chapter and with the book coming out. And I definitely want to keep in touch.
Thank you, Michelle. Me too. That was great. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for joining me today on Her Comeback. I hope this conversation inspired you to keep moving forward no matter where you are in your own journey. If you love this episode, I'd be so grateful if you would subscribe to the show on my YouTube channel at Michelle Thompson Life Coaching. Go there for more encouragement, insights, and just real talk about making a comeback happen. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss new content. You can also visit hercomebackpodcast.com for notes, resources, connect with me, connect with other women and our amazing community who are rewriting their stories. Remember, your setback isn't your final chapter. It's just the setup for your greatest comeback yet. I'll see you next. Until then.